Welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth,
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
and it is Week 13 of the NFL season. 6 weeks left to go before we hit playoff talk. And when we'll get into the playoff structure in a second here, look at the playoff picture. But we, as always, will recap the previous week, Week 12, and Thanksgiving. Hope everybody did have a great Thanksgiving with their family. And then we'll go ahead and we will dive into Week 13 news, power rankings, game picks, all the fun stuff. So starting off with recapping Week 12, let's go back to Thanksgiving, the day that was. I went 2 for 1. The Raiders upset the Cowboys. Bears got the win, 16-14. Nothing to talk about there. People keep saying Matt Nagy saved his job. BS. If they were going to fire him, they were going to fire him. So
I mean,
and still, that performance in itself should have been fireable, even though they won.
I don't think it moved the needle or took him any further off the hot seat than
Absolutely
it needed
not.
to be. So it is what it is.
Still boiling over there, Nagy.
Congratulations, Bears! You did win the game you were supposed to win. So I'll leave it at that. And I'm happy that they did win that, because if we'd have been coming into
Anarchy.
3-8.
Anarchy.
Dude, Lions getting their first win. I mean, it's one of those you just got to win. I mean, you won ugly, whatever. Take the W for the week and just call it good, and yeah. So congratulations, Bears. But of course, I did not pick them. I picked the Lions, and the Lions did exactly what I did not want them to do, which is what they do all the time: choke it away at the end. And yeah,
As always. Raiders get an overtime victory. This is kind of a thriller. This definitely turned into something in the second half. But man, Raiders played a good game all around. Finally, ever since they lost John Gruden over there, this team has kind of just looked like they were in shambles, and they won a couple of games after that, but they were ugly wins, and then they had 3 straight ugly losses, and now they finally get a win over a really good team in the Cowboys, just completely shutting them down, and not really shutting them down in the second half, but they kept fighting, and I think that was one of those things where this was kind of a slugfest at the end, and it just whoever had the ball last was going to win, and it so happened to be Vegas.
Yeah. Cowboys, you really dropped the ball on this one. Come on, man! It's a Thanksgiving game.
Gotta win that.
It's the Raiders. Come on, if anybody was
At home.
displaced, exactly, it had to be the Raiders. But with that being said, I mean, congrats. I mean, the Raiders have shown signs of being a very is it fair to say they are a hard out going? I mean, or they can show up to be that type of team.
At this point, I just feel like there is no easy win on any schedule. I feel like every team is capable of getting got, and every team is capable of getting a win right now.
That's true. So
especially with the abundance of injuries that we've had over the last few weeks, and just guys constantly coming into the games hurt. Mm-hmm. It's just like, well, maybe he will be able to perform today, maybe he won't, and maybe this defense can get on top of him, maybe they can't. It's just one of those where it's like anything. It literally has turned into any given Sunday for every team every single week. It doesn't matter who you are, who you're playing. Right. What the deal is. I mean, unless you're Pittsburgh, but we'll get to them in a second. Yeah, but I do have. I mean, this is a not a convincing win, but it was an impressive win from Vegas to be able to pull this game out. And definitely disappointing if you're looking at it from the Dallas perspective to not pull that game out. Whether you are trying to play through Tony Pollard and Zeke, or if you're trying to hand the ball off and give that ball to Dak to take over the game, but he has nobody to throw to. And so it just is kind of one of these things where it's like, Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, we got to figure out how this offense is going to score. And then two, this defense is to start looking like it was at the beginning of the season and not giving up 30-plus points a game. Right. Will allow this offense a little bit more time to get healthy by having that defense play a little bit better, bring the maybe that average down to closer to around 20, and maybe they can still pull out these games and win them.
I have to say they have some impressive wins. I mean, overall, and that Cowboys win kind of legitimized.
We're talking Vegas?
We're talking Vegas. Okay. We're still on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I know they basically snapped a 3-game losing streak, and that's kind of where we were kind of down on them. But when you lose, I mean, you're losing to the Chiefs, at Kansas City, at Cincinnati, it's understandable. I think it was more so where they went to New York and lost that one, and that was
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Like, I thought you was that team, and
Well, and also for me anyway, after their bye week, they're not a team that really gets up for games after their bye. Historically, especially with John Gruden being the head coach over the last few years, they kind of bottom out. They're one of these teams that are like, all right, first 8 games we're going to be really tough. We're going to be in the mix of things.
mhm,
We're going to look like we're going to take over the AFC West for that matter, and then bye week happens, we kind of forget about them for a week, and then loss, another
right.
loss here, and maybe get a win here, another loss there. It's just like, okay, well, what the hell was that at the beginning of the year then?
Right. They came out, I mean, shocking the world.
And,
Three and
and
zero
is that a
start.
coaching thing? Do you think
Ah,
for them to not be able to play a full season consistently?
could be. I mean, the whole Gruden situation. I think all is on the table at
It's
this
just
point.
it's even before Gruden. Like they just seem like a team that just does not play hard throughout the entire season, in my opinion.
Uh, I think they lack focus because one week they look like they are again look like a weld fine tuned machine, and they weld oiled, and they rolling, and it's just hard to stop them. I.e., when we seen them play the Ravens and play
Hmm.
the Steelers, and then they come out and just to throw this out there. Then they come out and have a 20-9 clunker against the Bears. Not saying that the Bears shouldn't have beat them, but my goodness, I mean, you just beat two colossal,
Yeah,
franchises just weeks prior, and then you come here and I mean at home, Chicago comes into your house and then kind of just punch you in the mouth, and then we was at that point like the whole view of them changed. But what I was seeing is they seem to get up for certain games and don't seem to be up for others, or just lack of focus. But with that being said, I just can never be that confident with the Raiders. They
no.
just they just a team. I don't even know if they're a team in building or a team on the rise or just a team that's just there. That's just relevant. But circling it back to Thanksgiving, man, an impressive win in Dallas, and then taking and now instead of going a game under 500, going a game over. It's a move in the right direction, which really would tell this tale for Vegas will be what they do next week, and
Yeah,
because they have
they
not.
have to string it together.
And I was gonna say it's either they got a string of losses or a string of wins. There's been no win loss, So the point is they have been consistently either losing or winning at any given point in time in the season. But right now, impressive win. Is it a 1 week anomaly? Could be, because I going into this game I was completely down on them. And now they got to face Washington comes there next week. That should be an interesting, like, two
Especially the way
teams.
Washington played last night.
I mean, they almost got like the same MO for the season. They had all of these accolades and what they should do and what they was gonna do and supposed to do, and now both of them are kind of just they're both kind of like bubble teams. Washington's a little worse, you know. But nevertheless, their roads are about to get and cross. So it makes to see. I want to see if Vegas can actually keep that focus, keep that that momentum going, especially building up because they got to go to Kansas City, the
Yeah.
week after. So
They're gonna have a tough schedule,
yeah,
and it's not going to be pretty down the line. So they're either going to have to right the ship now, and maybe Thanksgiving was the beginning of that, or it's going to turn into a nasty
and let me
nasty finish to the season.
definitely. And if we were talking about Murderers Row all season long. Well, Vegas definitely got Murderers Row at the end of the season, and they got 3 division games, and a at the and at Cleveland and at Indianapolis.
Yeah,
So Washington coming to your house is about as good as it's gonna get. Enjoy this because the last 5 weeks after that, I I could see them going 0 for 5 in the last 5, even
yeah.
with the Denver game.
All right. Last Thanksgiving game, Bills take on the Saints, and Bills just came out there 4 touchdowns from Josh Allen and came in there, stole a win, and got on out of there. Went back home, had some dinner with the fam.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't waste a whole lot of time. Unless a few people got cute and decided to stay in New Orleans for the weekend,
Yeah.
yeah, they made quick work of this team and just I mean, I don't even know you want to say they punched him in the mouth. They just basically just pushed him down and just took their lunch and walked away.
And this is one thing where it's like, okay, the last few times the Saints come out there, they get blown out in the first half, and then they usually have some sort of life in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Their heartbeat, their resting heart rate was 0 in this entire. And they got 6 points in the fourth quarter. Probably, I think they try to go for 2, and this just didn't pan out. They are. That was an abysmal performance from New Orleans, and I think I just feel bad for the fans that bought tickets for this game for Thanksgiving with their family. They go into the Superdome, and then you just get stomped out by a team that was, in all intents and purposes, was reeling coming into this game. Buffalo,
Yeah,
they come in here and just stomp you out. And getting to Buffalo, my main concern for them, and the thing that I think is going to hold them back from winning a championship this year, Devin Singletary, 15 carries and 44 yards is all you can get.
Which more? Oh yeah. You already know I'm not very high on Buffalo's run attack at all. Whether it's Singletary, Moss, now Breida, it just
None of it works. It's
which
not
is
good.
interesting. Where they seem like they have their most success is when they ignore the run game the most. Not that they have had good run games and some success, but their success has not come through their run game
No,
whatsoever.
it doesn't, but they do have to have a run game that can keep them on schedule. That's the other thing. It's just like 15 for 44 is not going to get it done.
This has to be at the top of their list next year.
God,
as far
has
as
to be.
what they're trying to address here. I mean, offensive line should always be just
that and an Emmanuel Sanders replacement.
Oh wow, you were very high on this guy.
From what you seen from him when he was with San Francisco, and then what he did with being the number 1 in New Orleans last year, it's like, all right, now you're in a spot where you're the number 2. I think at this point, Emmanuel Sanders he hasn't been able to switch to that I'm not the guy role.
It's interesting. He didn't start out like that.
I understand it, but when he was with San Francisco, he was maybe not the guy, but he was the go-to. Like, all right, we need to get this. We're gonna go to him, and it just so happened to be the same thing in New Orleans. And he wasn't going to be the number 1. He was going to be the number 2 last year with Michael Thomas, but then his ankle injury took Michael Thomas out for the whole year, and then that's when Traquan Smith came along, and they were like, well, we've got to get Emmanuel Sanders involved. And it just wasn't really clicking from that perspective. And it was just like, all right, well, that didn't work. That just wasn't a good fit. And so bringing him back to what he was in San Francisco, but just emulating that over in Buffalo, I thought that was going to work wonders. Just, you're the number 2 guy, but you're going to keep us on schedule all year long. But he just hasn't been that guy. But they really haven't needed it because Stephon Diggs has just been that good. That's just like, well, all right.
Yeah, and then of course Josh Allen found a new best target in
Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox keeping him on schedule.
So I don't think it's anything he's doing wrong, considering it is his first year. I'm not saying that the offense was carbon copy of whatever he was doing in New Orleans or in San Francisco, and it might just be by next year he'll be what we expected him to be.
But I think he only has a 1-year deal.
Is it just one? Oh wow, okay. I'll be very interested to see if they're going to bring him back. I won't even speculate any further. It's a 1-year deal. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that they have to get rid of him and not re-sign him, but I think they do need another weapon. Cole Beasley's not that guy.
No, if somebody had to go, he would be my first to go. But
Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have 2 wide receivers that are go-to guys, and now you have Dawson Knox and Sweeney for that matter. When Dawson Knox went down, it's like, hey, well, we've got those supplementary weapons. Let's just get that other guy to open this up completely. Along with, let's fix this freaking run game.
Yes, so I agree.
But is that also this is my I'm kind of struggling with Ryan Dable here because his offense, from what I've seen, he's just let's just throw the ball all the time. So is that more of Devin Singletary and Zach Moss just sucking, or is it Ryan Dable just not designing good plays for them to be able to thrive in that role?
Well, answer me this because I don't know this answer. I don't know the answer to this question. How long has the coach been there? This
Well, Sean McDermott's been there for at least 4 or 5 years, I think.
okay. See, and that's the thing.
I'm not sure how long Ryan Dable has been there
Okay,
as the offensive coordinator.
gotcha. And that's what I would need to know because I'm just gonna say just off the top of my head that the answer to that question will probably give me a little bit more insight to what I want to say or try to answer that. But not even knowing that, I would just say I think it's they just don't got the right personnel.
Okay.
I don't even think it's the game plan because let's just take the Thanksgiving game for example. You was given 15 carries. Yes, I know the Saints have a good run defense. I get that, but come on, you could 44 yards. That is all you was able to.
I mean,
muster.
do they though?
Yeah,
My question would be: Cam Jordan's the only guy really on that front seven that truly scares me as coming in as an offense.
I mean, but look at. I mean, but look how the game played out. They got beat in the air. They
Yeah,
didn't get beat
no,
on
that's
the
what I'm
ground.
saying. Because I think like Marshawn Lattimore, yeah, he's a tough guy to throw against, but
I get
you
that.
got all the rest of the field.
No,
It's like that front seven
when
isn't the thing that scares me when I look at New Orleans.
Yeah, and I don't get that. I don't get what
Yeah.
I'm just sharing. That's just a stat. And
Yeah.
like we could take this over to fantasy. I would never get anything for the Saints. It's just like statistically the numbers look great, but it does not pass my eye test. It
Not
never
at all.
has.
It never does.
Hey, I'm so jaded.
Whenever they have a good defense, it's always like the hell this Maj Podge
Let me explain.
group.
When you said whenever they have a good, that's funny. Whenever they've never had a good anything. No, I'm sorry. Historically, then all of a sudden we get this little Drew Brees era window, six, 7.
So as long as I've been watching football.
New Orleans with the Clippers.
Yeah, no, I get you. No, I get you. I totally understand. I know their history.
I understand that they kind of did the New England Patriot thing.
Yeah.
This in the last 15
to a much
years
lesser
or so,
extent.
but yeah, they prior to that, I know what this team is, and remember I've been all of like I just don't really understand who this team really is, and I just can't get a feel. Oh, I can get a feel for them. They're losers. They're not that good. They have some good pieces, good weapons, but let's be real. This is the post Drew Brees era, and they finna go through some growing pains. And the Bills proved that. Once again, as they finally that Bills team showed up and did what they were supposed to do. Because if the Saints took it to them and punched them in the mouth on Thursday, I wouldn't have been surprised. However, the Bills made sure to stifle that narrative and just took care of business. And the Saints came in hurt. I mean, there was no Kamara. There was no Mark Ingram. They didn't even have their number one or their number two running back. I mean, it contributes to the 6, but at the same time, the Saints have been again. That's what I mean. Like they don't have no identity right now.
Not at all.
Literally. And so again, to just conclude to answer your question, I think it's the personnel. I think Singletary, Moss. You want to keep one of them, make them a third down back, and then they need to just seriously clean house, go after some new rushers, a new slew of running backs, find another playmaker that can stretch the field, where you can put down that way you can put a Emmanuel Sanders in a slot or something, or you get some bona fide slot receiver, and Sanders just becomes that guy where you got to play him honest, and if y'all cheat on him, he'll just kill you. I think there's value there if they're thinking about bringing him back. I like what the Bills did. I like that move when they picked him up. Like when you were talking about,
I loved it.
Season, I was like, damn, that's a freaking home run.
And if Devin Singletary, Zach Moss could have came along, that would have been this would be the most lethal team. But I think the fact that they don't have a run game really hampers their ability to really make games tough on other teams. I guess a lot of defense can come in and just say, hey, we just get after Josh Allen, just go scream down for him, because we really don't have to worry about these other two running backs back here.
No, and if I'm not mistaken, Josh Allen is leading the team in rushing.
I would not be surprised if that's the case.
And I was saying that thinking like, man, Zach Moss really did have a good
He had a couple
season.
of good games.
Exactly. He had a couple of good games.
Yeah.
And that's what it came out to be.
Let's move on to Sunday.
I could talk about Buffalo.
Let's talk about a team that we should be talking about all day, in Cincinnati Bengals. 41-10. Absolutely just in the mouth. Just they came over and just you Yinzers came over in Cincinnati and just thought you were gonna do something. Thought you had something there.
You said hit them in the mouth. I would have said something else. Pulled their pants down and right up the no Vaseline. They were gang raped.
Oh no. No, Ben Roethlisberger, it ain't it. Sorry. You're not gonna be able to do this is over. Joe Mixon just ran all over this defense. They didn't even give them a chance. 165 yards.
Joe Mixon, like the rookie of the year this year or something? Who is this guy?
Joe Mixon's not a rookie. What are you talking about?
Like, oh, where this guy been?
T. Higgins, that dude finally showed up. Jesus Christ. 114 yards, a touchdown on 6 receptions.
Nice.
So he's coming along very, very nicely this season to kind of complement and give some credence to that Jamar Chase pick over there.
Yes.
But God, they just came in there, and that defense just absolutely got after everything that they thought that they had. Pittsburgh with that offense that they thought they had just got after them, just took it all away.
This is a proud moment for me. I did not see Cincinnati do this virtually ever in my lifetime, and this is they never showed to be that team. And this year is a little different than other teams. Okay, remember our narrative about Cleveland at the beginning of the year?
Yeah,
shifted over to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has become my favorite team to watch this season.
I can't even argue that. I'm just like, oh my God, man. I'm like, I thought once Chad Johnson left, I was, I'm like, I'm done with this franchise forever. Like they'll never come out of obscurity. Yet there's the Joe Burrow era, and I am high on Joe Burrow. That injury just messed my whole thinking about Cincinnati up, and they have just proved all the naysayers, this one right here included, completely wrong. I did pick Cincinnati for this against to beat the Steelers. I did not think it was going to be a
31-point victory. Even at home, I was just like, I knew
exactly.
I expected them to sweep the series. I after they won the first game, which I believe we both picked them in that first game.
Mm-hmm.
Even after that, I was like, all right, that wasn't a fluke though. To me, I was like, they're going to win this game. And I thought it was gonna be a tight fought game because you got Mike Tomlin on the other side trying to get revenge.
I was expecting 23-20, something in that 24-17, something in striking distance. This game was over before it even started.
The game was over in the second quarter. They were up 31-3 going into half.
Yeah, it was just a curtain call at that point. and the Steelers didn't even show up in the second half.
No,
that was a garbage time touchdown. Which, but who, whatever.
I didn't care. Nobody cared. It was horrible.
Okay, you finally found a tight end in the end zone. Got it. Well, when the Bengals are obviously over the sidelines been celebrating for the last 32 hours or something. So yeah, congratulations, Cincinnati. I am so impressed by this team and so excited to see some fresh young blood coming up in like a team, these type of franchises who usually are just doormats.
Yeah.
And not this year. And I'm like, you sweep the Steelers, you did something. Congratulations. And the rest.
I don't even think Cleveland was able to do that last year.
And like what I brought up, like how the narrative of Cleveland, we were ready to put them, and I was there. I felt that they kind of jumped ahead a year or so, but nevertheless, if you're that team, you're that team. But
yeah,
they did some regression. Things happen over there, but in Cincinnati, they just continue to keep thriving. Whether it's going through Jamar Chase, it's going through Higgins, it's going through now they reinsurged Mixon. Mixon has not I haven't seen Mixon do anything for 3 seasons.
Yeah, I will say this though, Cincinnati as a franchise, do not F this up after this season. You still need to fix this offensive line.
Yes. And let's remember the Andy Dalton stat. I think he had 8 straight playoff appearances where they kept like they just.
I don't even know.
You know what? This may not even be the Andy Dalton stat. I think it's just the Cincinnati stat because I think this goes back to Carson Palmer, where they just have like 8 or 9 straight first round losses, or just playoff exits, even if they won a division maybe once back then. But if Burrow can get them into the playoffs and they can just win their first playoff game, that's your Super Bowl, right?
I mean, anybody who draws them in the playoffs is not going to be happy about it. This is going to be a tough team to play because they play in Cincinnati. Like this is a cold weather team where it's like you're not just gonna waltz in there and just be like, all right, we're just gonna be able to.
And I'm putting Baltimore on notice right now. Oof. You slip up and let this team get this division. I don't know what to say.
I mean, all of the AFC needs to be on notice. They're one game behind having the first place in the AFC right now.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
So, everybody in the AFC is on notice right now that Cincinnati is a team that you do not want to be playing when it comes to January football.
No. No, not at all. And, I mean, they basically just, took Pittsburgh's spot. Literally. Like, we taking this. We got this spot. You all see y'all in the draft somewhere. Go to the lottery, whatever you want to call it. We out of here. But yeah, Cincinnati has definitely made a boss move.
They're making a mockery of Pittsburgh. But moving on.
Saving grace is that tie. Oh my gosh.
Oh God. No, it's not a saving grace because it was against Detroit.
I get that, but it ain't the 6. It could have been 6 losses, but they still got that 5.
No,
it's a saving grace.
It's not, because when you actually look at the numbers, you're like, they tied against the team that literally cannot buy a win right now. But the Bucks go ahead and they pull off the victory versus the Indianapolis Colts on the road there. So 38-31. Carson Wentz, man.
This could arguably been game of the week.
It was a fantastic game.
It really was, and I was in and out of it. I seen most of it. When I'm saying I'm out, I wasn't out that much. But I was watching them on 2 different sets.
Yeah,
and it was just going back and forth. But it gave me opportunity to focus on the other game, which we're getting to in a moment. But heartbreaker. I thought Indianapolis had them. I was like, oh my God.
I was so ready for Indianapolis to be back on the map here.
I know you were home. I know you should be the favorites, but yeah, it's the defending champs. It's Tom Brady. They on the road regardless, but you're in a dome. It's just like, oh God, this is Tom Brady back in Indianapolis.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tampa Bay, I'm coming further and further down on them being because I already said I don't think that they're going to be the team to win the NFC. And even every single week that they play a good team, even when they win, you got 2 interceptions off of Indianapolis this game, off of Carson Wentz specifically. And how is this a 1-score game? How did that final interception be the only thing that gave you a chance at winning this game? Because I felt it that everybody going into that final drive with Indianapolis, when they got the ball, they're like, damn, that's it. They're gonna go right down there and they're gonna score. They're gonna run the clock out and they're going to score. It's just a matter of how many zeros are left on the clock when they kick the field goal.
Right. Apart from the final drive, excellent game. But yeah, you was having those reservations that probably half of the country was just like, oh, here we go. And it happened. And no knock to Indianapolis. You played your freaking hearts out. You just came up a little bit short.
The defense has to be better, though.
Yeah,
you cannot let Leonard
Fournette in the second half. What happened in the second half? Like they just cooled off. He was on fire going into the half.
Killing him in the first half.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that I was saying a couple of weeks ago. That is the issue with this Indianapolis team, and might be the issue with Frank Reich as the head coach, where you have to be able to get your team to play all 4 quarters, because if you're looking to have Super Bowl aspirations, teams like Tampa Bay are going to be the teams that you got to play. And this was just a first-class, just excellent way of showing you how when you come out flat in the second half, you're going to lose games that way. Against good teams, you're going to lose games. You have to finish.
Exactly.
And that's really my only issue with Frank Reich at this point. It's just like, dude, come on. Stop going so conservative in the second half.
Yeah.
Even with the fact that even though your game plan was to pass the ball and to get down the field, your game plan wasn't aggressive enough because you completely took out your biggest playmaker in the third quarter. You did not give the ball to Jonathan Taylor a single time in the third quarter. He did not get a single rush in the third quarter. And that's where I'm like, all right, well, you still have to run the clock, but two, he's your biggest playmaker. How are you not passing to him? How are you not just design handoffs?
Right.
Counters, anything. Traps, outside zone. Anything in the run game. I know you're going against one of the toughest front sevens in the NFL, but this dude was already eating.
Yeah, because you've seen Wentz stat line. It was hella impressive. I mean, outside
of those 2 interceptions.
Yeah, and exactly.
Gotta protect the football, man. That's at this point I think he's gotten over the BS with Philadelphia where he just can't do anything. But he has this offense. I think he's got the offense down. I know he definitely can run it and get this team down the field. You just got to protect the football, though. That's the second half of it. All that was the second part of everything that was happening with Philadelphia. It wasn't just the fact that you weren't able to run this offense in Philadelphia. It's also the fact that you were turning the ball over at the same time. You got the offense down now. Protect the football now. That he does that. Indy is going to be a team that is going to take over the AFC.
They do. And
stay healthy.
And I think we're going to still see that down the stretch of this season. I mean, outside of, I'm just going to take out just playing. The Patriots got to come to them, and then they have to go to Arizona in back-to-back weeks. Take out those two weeks. The rest of the way, they should win at Texas.
I'm expecting them to play well against those two teams. Even
I'm just saying that's
might not translate into wins, but they should win. They just should be able
to get one of those.
One of those.
And that's my point. But the rest of the way, you got to be kidding me. It's a joke. Have you even seen?
Well, because their front half of their schedule was so insanely difficult.
And then they're 6-6, so they clear this. They won going into this game. They won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah,
only losing to Tennessee. And yeah, so but the only thing I come to look at is who did they lose to? And I'm like, my God, it's all the top teams. I get it, but it's like you got to actually win one of these.
Yeah, that's the thing.
First week Seahawks. That's big because it's the first week. But before
and Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson were still injured.
True. Then lose to the Rams. They got swept by the Titans. You lose at the Ravens. And then now you lost to the Buccaneers. However, they do, which would legitimize this, and I say that to say this, they beat Buffalo last week in Buffalo. So, and to just get edged against the Buccaneers, by all means, I have not changed my stance. They're that team this year. That's going to be in the race. So, in the AFC. Yeah. So I'm not souring on them, but they got a softball matchup next week at Houston. So, I'm like, look,
hey, I need to see them stomp.
That's what I was gonna say. I need to see a blowout. Nothing is this close. 13-20 type.
No playing down to your competition.
Please
here.
don't. Run the score up. 40.
Speaking of,
but yeah, let's move on.
Speaking of playing down to your competition, 33-10, Miami versus Carolina. Oh God. It's funny because what's funny is we were having a conversation as this game just started, and Cam had thrown that bomb, and you're like, Cam's back. That's my dude. I love this. And then the bottom just fell out for Carolina. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
I can't believe I started this dude over Matthew Stafford. I just like I was so like, man, if there's ever time to start this guy, it's now. Yeah, exactly what you just said. Continue. I'm just all I
had. This is where I'm at with. I think this is.
That's so ugly.
It was bad. Miami.
Why did I
second
pick
quarter
them? Why
on.
did I pick them?
I
Why
don't
was they
know.
in my part of my picks? I don't even
know.
understand.
I said this was a tough game to pick, but Miami's at home, and I'm taking them just for that fact alone.
Did you take Miami?
Yeah.
And I had it marked as a different.
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm 100% positive.
Okay, I just didn't have it marked on my paper. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. Miami, though, took them
God.
because they were at home. Gaskin ended up with 2 touchdowns. Tua had himself career day, 27 for 31.
The legend.
230 yards and a touchdown. And then the dude that had his career game, I'm tired of this BS when it comes to fantasy. 9 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown for Jalen Waddle. The hell has that been all year?
I will be mentioning him a little later in one of our spotlight players. But yes,
all right.
Yeah, this dude just, I mean, if he's trying to make a claim for,
absolutely, he is not getting Rookie of the Year.
I'm just making a point. We did discuss
Rookie of the Year is unlocked, and we're going to talk about who that is in the next. I said
he was a dark horse pick, and that legitimizes it even further that he should at least be on the ballot. That's all I'm saying.
This is his first game that was actually like, all right. He had one other game that was actually pretty decent.
And for rookies, boom, ballot.
No, the rookie that is on the ballot is Titans Patriots, Mac Jones. This dude came in here 36-13. Oh God! And this was a game.
I see what you did there. You just swaggered right out of that game.
Because outside of Gaskin and Tua in this,
you're fine.
There's nothing. 33-10, cool. 5-7 now. You're technically still in the hunt.
I was actually impressed that, in light of my hoopla I was, man, you already knew. I was so caught up in this Cam thing. Yeah, he brought me back down. I'm like, okay, dude, all right, Miami, I disrespected y'all. I didn't think y'all was going. Damn, they just.
No, okay, I will say Miami, you're in the hunt, but it's great to see Tua had a game like this because now he either has trade value or you can build off of this. But outside of that, there's nothing to take from this because I don't think Miami is going to be a team that actually is going to get this AFC spot. Because it is too competitive in the AFC.
I was gonna say it's too deep.
Yeah, and
no
Carolina, sorry, but you now losing Christian McCaffrey, and we'll talk about him in the injury update. Yes. But losing him, you guys have no shot at either. So that's that. But
yeah, we can move on.
New England taking on Tennessee. New England gets the win 36-13, and now New England. Well, at the time of this win, they were number 1 in the AFC, but now I think they're number 3. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later in all of these matchups. But yeah, maybe I don't know the exact standings. I could have to look at them later. But Patriots
are 2.
pulled off just a clinic on the Titans. The Titans never had a chance. They, I mean, they did make it a game in the second quarter, but then. Just the mastermind himself, Bill Belichick, halftime adjustment came out and just shut them down and didn't give them any room to breathe in the second half.
No, and this was exactly the other game I was watching simultaneously with the Bucks and Colts, and I've watched more of this game than I did the Bucks and Colts actually, which should have flip flopped that because it was really the other game. But as you just a clinic, there's no better way of describing this game. I'm like, this man is just sitting here dissecting this team.
Mac Jones came out there 23 for 32, of 32 rather, 310 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Looked like a seasoned vet out there, literally, like
just dicing up this defense.
Oh my God, I ain't gonna say the Titans were done and they're finished, but just for the sake of Sunday, they were done and finished. I mean, my God, Belichick just dinked and dunked and gashed and pulled and spot here and shot there, and I mean, it just the Titans defense looks so perplexed.
They were lost. Bill Belichick in this offense just put guys from the Tennessee defense on islands and just had them so confused the whole game.
You want to know what the biggest island was? Right in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I mean, he just
right over the top.
Next play, and every time it was a different receiver. Every single time, I was like, "Wow."
Well, hey, Myers came out there with 5 receptions, 98 yards. This dude just cruising.
They look at the entire.
And by the way, Buffalo, if you want to know how to utilize a rusher, go ahead and look at Tennessee for this. 12 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown.
Dontrell Hilliard was a silent beast on.
Like, stay on schedule. All you got to do is stay on. This is above and beyond staying on schedule, but I'm just saying, stay on schedule.
And then look at what the Donta Foreman right behind him, 19 for 1. I have to give Tennessee just this one small piece of credit. At least, even in the midst of losing and falling behind, they stayed committed to that run game, and they stayed committed to what was working. And even though it was not going to give them the win, I thought it was an impressive way to lose. So, if that makes any type of sense.
Well, I mean, once you come out of the second half, it was 16-13, and then they jumped on you 26-13. You're just like, all right, hands up. We have nothing left that we can really. There's nothing else we got, and so they were just like, you know what? We're going to play our game. We'll see if we can get out of here with the win like that. Didn't pan out, but you showed some promise with that, and that I think is something to build off when you get your dude Derrick Henry back next year. Maybe they go try to get a quarterback and some other pieces around them to try to completely round out that offense and definitely fix the damn defense. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
30 points a game is not going to be a way to stay in it, especially when you're a run-first offense.
Yeah, and this Jekyll and Hyde defense scenario is not going to work because it's more missed than hit, and they definitely got defensive issues. Oh my God, they played. I mean, massive injuries going into this. I do want to put that out there, but I'd like the way who did. For the healthy players, they did come and play as good as they could, but they just didn't have any stuff. I mean, come on, you lost AJ Brown, you got Julio Jones out, no Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill is playing like Ryan Tannehill year 2 in Miami.
Yeah, Adam Gase tenure Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, and I'm like, who is this guy, and why did I keep him in my damn dynasty league? It's just oh God. Over Matthew Stafford. Do not ask me why. I do not know, but that's what I did. And
he didn't ask me for advice, just so you guys
know. And here we go. And I mean, it's the most goofiest stat line I've ever seen. They had 93 total passing yards and 270 total rushing yards. Ain't that supposed to be the other way around?
Yeah, it was not. It was not a pretty game. I mean, hey, rushing, fantastic. They are going to have that for years to come, but they've got to get some other things figured out. But I think this game is more about Mac Jones and the Patriots and just whatever they were able to do, and just round of applause.
He by far
rookie
is
of the year.
Rookie of the year. There's no other question. Nobody's even close right now, and as long as he just plays decent,
he just has to play halfway decent the rest of the season.
It's a lot. He has the bag. I'm sorry, because he. I mean, I don't even think he took it. He just came and just picked it up off the table and walked away.
He's like, hey guys, you all forgot this.
Yeah, I'll take that. So, but like you were saying, Jacoby Myers 5 for 98, Kendrick Bourne 5 for 61, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Bolden 4 for 54, Jonnu Smith 3 for 49. Jonnu Smith sighting. Yeah. And even, I mean, now you want to round it out at the bottom. Aguilar 3 for 20, Hunter Henry 2 for 16. I got to even scroll down further. Damian Harris 1 for 12, and Ramondre Stevenson missed his 1 target, but he was taking care of it on the rushing end, 9 for 46. So just weapons. He used everything at his disposal, and again,
even Ramondre Stevenson. I'm sorry, I keep going back to Buffalo, but even Ramondre Stevenson on 9 carries got more yards than Singletary was with 15.
To our point last week when I said if there's ever a way to run a committee, New England has the blueprint.
That is true.
That is, I mean, Buffalo, in the freaking same damn division, still they're playing. You're still everything else from each other.
New England is still the blueprint in Buffalo. Jesus, no, that is true.
You know, there might be some truth to that now, unfortunately. But
all right.
With that being said, yes.
Well, let's get past this trash game coming up next. The Giants win 13-7. This is just a bad game from Philly, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. just
No,
the
I
bad
think I think
Philadelphia
I
game.
think I might end up adding Philly to my list with the New York list. Like I think I'm just gonna stop picking these guys unless they
Well,
play
they
each
play
other.
each other again, so
I might go for a tie.
okay.
Just take the L on either side.
Another trash bowl game. Falcons go ahead and get the win on the road versus
Huh?
Jacksonville.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
This is the first time that I actually felt confident in Jacksonville winning a damn game. And they still came out and put up this clunker. Are you kidding me? Just, I mean, sorry. I cannot look at a game where you have a rookie quarterback throwing for 42 attempts and say, "Oh, I feel confident in that one," even if it is Trevor freaking Lawrence. 42
No,
pass attempts. What the hell was that?
I understand. You know what?
And this is why Urban Meyer should be fired.
See, I understand the sympathy with what he's getting because you know what it is. Let's just put a pause in the Urban Meyer for a second. You can get back on that in a second, just in a moment. I think the league, spectators, leagues, fans, everybody just got a sentimental value for Trevor Lawrence. Like, man, you're the number one pick. You coming up out of Clemson. You coming off. Didn't he come off national title? Or they losing. I don't know.
They didn't win that one.
But
no.
coming out,
he does have one though.
but he does have a national title. Lost one, won one. You know, all the accolades, everything your career is set, and it's like, yeah, Jacksonville.
Yeah,
he's just getting
true.
You know, it's kind of one of those. He threw for 42 yards. He did have one touchdown. And, you know, it's everything's so apologetic for him. It's sad in the grand scheme of things because unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence, it ain't gonna get much better until the team gets better.
But you know what the worst part about it is? This dude, Trevor Lawrence, even with, I mean, that it's a decent stat line, 228 for a touchdown on 23 or 42 passing.
Mm-hmm.
He was still the leading pass. Like Matt Ryan did worse in this game.
Really? Woohoo! Shock there.
Like that. Like,
no. You
and for the, I mean, because this is the Cordell Patterson game.
Absolutely, which makes this completely makes my point for me with his little 190, one touchdown, one interception game. You know, miss me, Matt Ryan. I'm not even this. I'm gonna keep it on to Jacksonville. But yes, I guess my problem only would be in the grand scheme of things that he had a good game, but this was against Atlanta.
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
it was why I picked him. You're at home. You should be able to beat Atlanta at home.
I understand, but I just thought Atlanta was just a little bit better. That's I
mean, and they were just a little bit better to get this win.
That's exactly what I said. They were just even with Jacksonville at home. I'm like, if I lose,
oh god, we got a stretch of crap games.
Yeah, it's gonna keep it going. But congratulations, as you just stated, Cordell Patterson game. Thank you for showing up
when you're on my bench. Yeah,
I had no intention of starting you. You made me have to sweat it out all the way to the end of Monday night to 10 o'clock. I mean, this really, yeah. Thanks a lot, Cordell. But thanks for coming back. So.
Well, the Jets, they got themselves a win, and another game I got wrong. They're now 3-8, 21-14 as they beat the Houston Texans. Tyrod Taylor looked good in the first half, and then the bottom fell out in the second. Just like weren't able to get anything done, anything going.
So on offensive, but he was about to pick the Jets. I could have sworn last week he was going to pick them.
No, I said this game just sucks, and I'm just taking whoever's at home.
Yeah, I kind of took the same. All right, Texans. You know that was just pathetic. And I'm not really going.
The leading receiver in this game was freaking Braxton Berrios. 2 receptions for 47 yards. This game was just horrible. I don't even want to spend more time on this.
This game was so bad, it should have been played in London. I'll leave it at that.
And a team that should probably start thinking about relocation, Broncos go ahead and get the win against the Chargers, 28-13. The hell was that, LA? What the hell was that? I don't care that you were on the road.
I told you, I'm every week I'm getting more and more down on this team, and I'm just like, okay, they're the team I was looking at them as going into in the preseason. They were going to be this kind of a slightly above the middle of the road, but they have that capabilities of beating anybody at any time. But they're just not that team yet. I think they're still a year
You
away.
lost to Denver.
You did. You did. You lost to Teddy B. Teddy.
No, you lost to Drew Lock. Teddy Bridgewater injured. He got injured in this game.
He did. In the first quarter, wasn't
it was early. I know it was in the first half. I don't know exactly
Oh,
when.
that's right. He did get hurt. What the heck?
You lost to Drew freaking Lock. You let Drew Lock throw 14 points in the fourth quarter on you. A dude that damn near got cut.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate and just state that with all of their preparation and getting
I wanna see
ready
where the
and
hell this is
playing in the
going.
game, they just had no idea Drew Lock was even gonna play, and had no answers for him, as he just carved them up a good 4 for 7, 26 yards and an interception. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything, but it's just a matter of like you weren't able.
No.
Drew Lock led offense. You weren't able to just like you knew coming into that. All you got to do now is stop the run game.
Yeah, and they basically found a way to. I don't know how they did it. They did it through their run game. So they 30. Oh my God, 33 carries for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm like, come on, do better, Chargers. Do better.
That the defense has to play better, and I guess that's going to be their number one because they've already gotten everything that they needed to fix on the offense. Not everything, but most of what they needed to fix on the offensive line. Maybe some questions on the receiver front. Just is Keenan Allen still that guy? Can Mike Williams take over games? There's just questions there.
I don't think that's what their main problem was on offense. It was their run game. They abandoned it, and come on. Herbert is your lead
44 pass attempts. That's not gonna cut it. I'm sorry. He's 28 for 44, 303 yards and 2 touchdowns. Solid.
It's just a bad game.
Yeah.
I know it's a division rival in Denver. I mean, maybe.
And this was the dude that missed. Dustin Hopkins missed multiple kicks to keep this game somewhat comparable. Because I mean, in the fourth quarter, they ended up just having to air it out and just try to score touchdowns. I mean, if you hit 2 of those field goals, it's 19, and maybe Denver isn't so comfortable with running the ball in the fourth quarter. They're going to start trying to get Drew Lock involved and whatnot. So I definitely think that those missed field goals really kind of changed the tide of the game. Yeah. When you had 2 of them clank off the same upright. It's like, dude, and I think they were on back-to-back drives if I'm remembering correctly. But
Shawnee, he only missed 1.
Oh, I thought he missed 2.
No, he missed 1. He was
might have been a PAT he missed then.
1 for 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He missed the point after as well.
Gotcha. So those were just.
Yeah, he missed 2. Like you said, he was from 30 yards out. I'm like, dude, come on. This is what they pay you to do.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Honestly, just God. All right. Let's talk about another LA team that had a difficult loss. Rams fall to 7-4 on the road against the Packers, 36-28. The Packers get the win. I'm sorry. The Packers don't have any truly inspiring wins to me. Any convincing wins to me on their schedule.
No.
They're all either against cupcake teams or they're very suspect wins.
Yeah, we can start with the Arizona game. We're in Arizona on a short week. Arizona just came off a tough, it's like, come on. Yeah, I get it. But like you were saying, it just, no. Against the Lions, they just edged at the 49ers in week 3. Then, Steelers have to come to Green Bay, then they found a way 25-22 at Cincinnati, they found, then 24-14 at Chicago, and then again 24-21 at the Cardinals. It's just these, from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of suspectness going on the road where they're finding a way just to edge these teams, just finding a way.
Yeah.
Up until at Minnesota, and Minnesota finally caught them,
But I mean, congrats on the win, but it's still come on, for them to be number 1 or number 2 in the NFC right now, and to be on number 1 in some teams or some people's power rankings and stuff like that, I'm like, this team just truly isn't that team to me.
I have the same sentiment. This is apart from fandom. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not as a Chicago Bears fan. It's just right. I'm not inspired. Because I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers. Like, even though I'm a Bears fan,
Right.
and I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, that was a solid game, but 28 for 45, you're supposed to be one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
I if you're gonna be throwing that much, I want to see you at least in the 30s, if not 35 plus. You're telling me what's that? 17 missed throws. I know some of those are drop passes and whatnot, but
Yeah, I am suspecting within the next few weeks or something that Green Bay's gonna hit a wall. I mean, and they're gonna get exposed for what's going on now. I'm saying that apart from unless that defense continues to carry them some kind of way, which I don't know where the resurgence of this defense came from. And I would give them all the credit in the world defensively. Offensively, I have a lot of questions, and
I have
I got a
questions
lot
on
of
both ends.
a lot of raised eyebrows and chin rubs, and I'm just like I'm not too. I'm a little like you. I'm a little suspect about this offense, but Green Bay is just one of these teams
I'm
that
not ready to
always
call them
seem
a
like
fraud, but I'm just
no,
saying like this is a very suspect 9-3. And it to me it seems like every year I have this sentiment about them, and it always turns out that they're not the ones who wins the NFC.
no, and it's not like they just got a lock on NFC Championship bid because they don't. They get
It's
there
not even
here
like
and
they
there.
have a lock on the NFC North bid.
That's true. I mean, true. I mean, they usually get the edge,
I
but
mean, they
but it's not a
usually
lock.
get it, but it's
Right.
never. I mean, it's either Chicago or Minnesota
right
is
there.
right there behind them.
Right.
And now this year they are separating themselves more than they ever have.
Various reasons we don't need to get into. But,
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that that's a whole nother show.
That's a different conversation. What I'm
Right.
saying is that like this is like, yes, there is that separator this year that they kind of have this 4-game buffer right now. But even with that, I'm just like, okay, well then let's look at the rest of the NFC. I'm not taking Green Bay over Tampa. I'm not taking Green Bay over the Rams, even after this game.
I wouldn't even take them over Dallas if the game's in Dallas. Now, if this in Green Bay,
You know what?
it depends on
No. Healthy Zeke, I'm taking Dallas no matter where the game is.
Dallas got to show me they can play in cold weather.
I just need to see Dallas with the healthy running back because I mean Zeke's been with a knee injury for the last month. Like,
hey, Antonio Gibson is playing with a fractured leg all season. Don't miss me with the knee. No, I'm kidding.
Antonio Gibson is in friggin' Washington. It's a completely different situation.
I'm fractured leg, exactly. But yet, no. Stop. Go.
All right, and on that note, let's talk about Minnesota, San Francisco.
I was just saying, like, Zeke injury is okay. He's hurt. He's not injured. He's hurt.
Well, but I mean, even
no,
with that,
but I know that's slowing him down just a tad. But if he gets that healthier,
I'm taking if they along with the fact that Kellen Moore gets his head out of his ass and starts running the ball with Zeke.
And I'm saying this, and Pollard, they have a 2-back system.
Pollard is not anything to sneeze at. I'm just, as a fantasy manager, am really frustrated with this Pollard BS. I'll call it that from a fantasy perspective. As a football, hey, great to have a 2-back system.
You did experience all of that this week. And I wasn't saying this had nothing to do with fantasy. It was just completely X's and O's NFL stuff. But yes, but I like your take. I have to see. Dallas got to show me a little bit more to show me that, like in December, they can go to Green Bay.
No, I get that.
Now, if it's October, September, bring it on. We can play.
If it's in Jerry World, bring it on.
I don't definitely say if they're at home.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a wrap. But I was just saying, like, outside of Dallas, maybe going to Green Bay, like say in January or something. I
see what you're saying.
I'm saying, like, I'm not seeing many teams that they're going to sit here and stomp over because what we got left, Arizona. Yeah, let's run this back one more time and see how that goes. The Rams.
Let's run it back.
I even throw the 49ers back in there. Let's run that back, because I'm sorry. Outside of Seattle, that NFC West, I'm still impressed.
Yeah.
From them, even the 49ers, they're
Cincinnati. Let's run it back.
Oh, gosh, Cincinnati. Exactly. You can run all these Chicago. Let's run that back in Chicago. Because let's run them all back. How about that?
Can we switch coaches, please?
Oh gosh. Please, with
That actually
anyone.
might get it done. To be completely, I mean, I'm done with Chicago. We talked about them to start with.
No.
All
I
right.
wasn't gonna make that, but yeah, I do feel where you're coming from. Your sentiments about Green Bay. With that, I'm still gonna give them their flowers. They 9 wins, 3 losses.
I mean, they're
Perfect
doing what
five
they're
and 0 at
supposed to
home.
do.
Yeah, winning at home. And that's fine. I ain't gonna knock it, but what it shows, they can be beat on the road.
Yeah, I'm at a point where I'm just looking at it where I'm like, yes, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and they do deserve the credit for that because we've seen multiple teams not do that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, when I'm looking ahead and I'm looking as a prognosticator of football, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, Green Bay is not a team where I'm like, all right, I can say I am not at a point where I can say I can safely choose them to win the NFC. I wasn't coming into the season thinking that they were going to be able to win this conference, and I'm sitting here right now. I really don't think that they can. I think that they can get got in the first round.
They can, and we go back to this Rams game. You know what this really came down to?
Matthew Stafford just being absolutely abysmal.
I'm even oversimplify this. This was the only thing that was the difference. The separator was the first quarter.
Yeah.
It was like wasn't even the end of the game; it was the beginning of the game. It's just how
you can't dig a hole for yourself and
yeah,
expect to come out of it.
They just came out too slow.
I do need to see the Rams figure out a way to make OBJ that Robert Woods substitute because I totally understand how much of a hole Robert Woods is for this offense. He's kind of the lifeblood of it, and just kind of he is what kind of their run game is supposed to be, just keeping them on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But if they take away Cooper Kupp and there's only OBJ left and Van Jefferson, those two guys have to step up. Van Jefferson did, but now OBJ has to do the same thing. So I think that they need to either find a way to scheme him open or really just make it so that he can fit within this offense or build a package around him. I don't know what it has to be, but you went out of your way to go get this guy. And same thing on the defensive end. Von Miller needs to be able to thrive in this defense and get after the quarterback. But again, neither here nor there. OBJ, for this offense to click, he has to be a part of it, and he has to become that Robert Woods substitute.
He has to, because it's going to be a trickle-down effect, and it's going to be starting to affect Van Jefferson, where he's going to be a non-factor.
Well, because Van Jefferson, if he was a second, third-year wide receiver, I would expect him to step up into that role. But he's a rookie. He's got to get some time to acclimate to he needs this full season to acclimate to the NFL game. Yeah. I'm not expecting him to take over staying on schedule duties of a wide receiver as a rookie. That's not what he is. And you drafted him in the second, third round. Mm-hmm. He's not a stud. He's not like one of these out of this world wide receivers that can come in like a Jamar Chase and do that. That's not who this guy is.
A prototypical number 3 that can burn you. Yeah. And
he's your Byron Pringles.
Yes, he is good for this team. He doesn't have to be the focal point, but he has that kind of skill set. But when you got Odell and you got Kupp, and when Woods do come back, oh my God, they got a 4-head attack. Where we've already seen what his worth is now, and he's more of that big play guy. But take away the big plays. I would like to see more of like when he's coming out with he has 3 for 93. Can I see maybe 7 for 93? Where it's and not that you 3 for 93. Your biggest play was a 79-yard play, because the other 2 plays really don't even. You know what I'm saying? It was almost nothing. It was really about that one play. And that's fine, but it's like if you take the big play away, then you took Van Jefferson away almost.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I see nothing but this guy getting better over time. And to your point, Odell Beckham is the key, especially with Woods going down.
I mean, he is so close, because right now he's at 10 targets, 5 receptions, 81 yards. If you can get that to be 10 targets, 7 receptions, and flirting 6. With 100, I mean, because as long as you leave Cooper Kupp at 10 for 7 with 96, and you get Odell at 10 for 7 for 90, that extra. And no, we're looking at 9 yards, but those 2 extra receptions, I think, really helps out. And then you can start to look at Van Jefferson, 9 targets. Only 3 receptions on 9 targets is not enough, and but he's a rookie, and
And I'm
that's
gonna
the
say, in
thing.
that first half,
Yeah, it was horrible.
Stafford looked horrible. I mean, hell, Cooper Kupp didn't even get his first catch till late in the second. So
Yeah,
it's I get it, and I get what you're saying. Part of that was contributed to just bad offensive gameplay at the beginning of this game. But what the hell has happened to Tyler Higbee? And why has he not
he
been a
never
part of the
was
offense?
that guy.
I mean, I'm saying that with them bringing Stafford over, I thought that was going to make him a little bit more a part of the offense. But I see
Not when to me, I don't think it's that when you have a big play guy like Cooper Kupp and now Odell and guys like Robert Woods, they're going to take advantage of that before they're dinking and dunking, especially when you start off your season against a demoralized Chicago Bears team, and then
I just thought like in a game where they're struggling, that would have might have been an opportunity, and it really wasn't. He just, I mean, 5 targets, 1 catch, 3 yards. Like what the hell,
you know,
I'm not. I know I'm not big on Higby. It's just it shocks me that Stafford, who made Hawkinson,
yeah.
and then
No, I see what you're saying.
he doesn't even look at Higby like I don't even need the third. I don't know if that maybe that's just how bad it was in Detroit that's not who he wanted to throw to. He actually wanted to throw downfield. So I just but I always looked at that like, man, if Woods is out, there's another weapon technically.
I mean, I would say that he needs to step up. Whether it's just Matthew Stafford needs to be starting looking for the check down more, or it's a matter of Tyler Higbee needs to separate himself and get a little bit more open and become a playmaker out there.
Or is it fair to say now, maybe, and I may have to look back at some film, maybe Tyler Higbee is doing more block schemes than he's doing catching at this point.
I'm not sure.
5 targets in the entire game. That's really like 1 target a quarter. So it's like he's not even really looking his way. So I don't know. I'm just curious.
I mean, you gotta get spreading the ball. I mean, he is spreading the ball around. I mean, like we said, it's 10 for Cooper Kupp, 10 targets for Odell Beckham, and 9 targets for Van Jefferson, 5 targets for Higbee. Like he's spreading the ball around. It's not where he's just like, oh, I'm only gonna key in on Cooper Kupp and I'm only throwing to him all game long.
Right.
He's getting the ball out there to other guys and making sure that he's spreading the wealth a little bit. But it is concerning that they are now on a 3-game losing streak, but I am not out on the Rams by any means. But they are going to have to earn their way back into the fold here. But they're not a team that I'm thinking is out of the Super Bowl or playoff contention by any means.
No need for concern. We okay.
I'm not hitting the. I mean, I'll touch on it when we start talking about power rankings, but I am not hitting the panic button by any means. But like I said, they'd have to earn their way back in. Let's wrap things up with these last 3 here. Minnesota loses on the road against the San Francisco team. San Francisco gets above 500. They're now 6-5. 34-26 was their win there. I think this game is Elijah Mitchell's back and Brandon Ayuk is making some big plays.
Yeah. And again, it's Minnesota. Minnesota is just a middle of the road team.
Yeah.
Again, tough out. They kept it competitive.
I will say prayers out for Everson Griffin with all of that happened last week. Having his, I don't know if people know, he basically had a mental health crisis last week where he locked himself in his house. I think Carver County Police had to come out and let him know that he doesn't have an intruder in his home and he doesn't need to be afraid of anything, and they had to talk him down basically. So with all of that going on last week, that definitely was a scary thing to hear. But
I heard part of it. That's why I was like,
yeah, no, that was a crazy situation last week. So
sure, that was a nice distraction for the team.
Yeah, 100%. But Kirk Cousins had a solid game. It wasn't prime time, so he was able to thrive in 20 for 32, 238, and 2 touchdowns, but wasn't able to get the win. So.
Yeah, it came up a little short, but with that, look, both teams basically came in with the same record. They were both at the same place, but sizing these two teams up, they're not the same.
Yeah, San Francisco has been kind of getting right. They finally have gotten a lot of their guys back fully healthy now,
Finally.
and they're trying to make a run here. So, and I think they're going to be right there in that contention spot there. But
yeah, impressive win though.
Yeah.
It's an impressive win, but I also want to say I thought it was. I thought Minnesota did not go in there and just take it on the chin. They actually competed.
They tried,
and yeah, but couldn't get a good. No one could get nothing going in the fourth quarter, and that's just kind of ran out of gas there. Well, that's that.
Sunday was wrapped up with a clunker, with the Ravens getting a 16-10 win over the Browns.
Did not watch this game at all.
Game was horrible. I watched the whole thing.
Did you?
It was bad.
God.
It was bad all the way around. And there are legitimate questions now with Baker. I don't know if they're going to give him a contract extension at this point.
I was just about to say, if you was going to go into the Baltimore side of this, I was like, I'm going to ask you right now, give it to me. What's going on in Cleveland?
I have zero idea if he... I think Cleveland will give him a contract extension. Let me not try to make this a hot take. No, I think that they will, but I think it's going to be a very contentious negotiation. And I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be on the shorter end for Cleveland, because they're like, well, you need to still prove it to us.
He's not getting Dak Prescott money.
Oh, absolutely not. He is not next man up money.
And if Cleveland shows themselves to be that desperate just to say that they got, that is a clear indication that they're done.
You got 4 interceptions to end the half. You got 3 turnovers at the end of the first half, and weren't able to do a damn thing with it.
No, run game
shut down. Baker, I mean, granted, Baker is dealing with so many injuries right now.
I have to say, and I'm gonna start by congrats to Landry. Great game.
Oh yeah, finally.
However, thank you. What you just said, finally. However, whenever it seems to be that Jarvis Landry has a good game, nobody else on the team does. It's just completely the Jarvis Landry show, and nothing else is going on. That has been my experience with Jarvis Landry in Cleveland. Which and now that there's no Odell,
they might need to retool all of their weapons on offense.
Yeah, well, look, I would have to say this, that they have seriously had taken a step back at when they let Odell Beckham go.
Oh yeah,
because I'm like, you have nobody to replace him.
Nobody. I'm sorry, DPJ cannot step in here, and neither can that dual threat running back wide receiver. I forget his name.
Demetric
Felton.
I'm sorry, the Felton project
is over. It needs to be over. He is not Cordero Patterson.
This year it is a wrap, because I think they missed their window about 5 weeks ago. Like, this is the time, and they just kind of threw him out there for a few plays, little small package, and now it's like, dude, I mean, at this point, you're just waiting for a slew of people to get injured, you know, just to get in the game at this point, and they looked horrible. There's no redeeming quality of anything to really take from their offense last week outside of Landry, but that's my concern. If Landry to play well seems like it takes away from the overall success of the offense for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that Landry's a bad fit. It speaks to the Baker Mayfield thing. It speaks to their continuity of offense. What is the identity of this team? Are y'all
the
a rush
other
team
thing
or a pass team?
Kevin Stefanski, the play calling in this game was abysmal. I don't understand some of the play calls and leading into the first half. Throughout the second half, there was just like, in the debacle with the 12-man on the field, the ready for play. Again, you didn't watch the game, so you didn't see this. There was just a mess of, we're going to try to get one over on you and get this one over on you, and coach is trying to make a sneaky substitution, and then this guy tries to get in there, and we didn't whistle for the ready for play, and you snapped the ball too soon, and that's a false start. It was like three. It was, I think there was about 3 to 7 straight plays or non-plays where it was just like, okay, well, we gotta take it back 5 yards now for this penalty. Sorry, we didn't have the ready for play. That wasn't actually a play. Now we got another flag. It's moving back up 5 yards. It was all on a fourth and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended with 2 back-to-back 12-man on the field penalties on Cleveland, where they call a timeout on one after they it was while they were snapping the ball, and they just so happened to grant them the timeout, Cleveland there, and they Lamar Jackson had a clear path at the first down. He would have got it if they would have let that play stand. But they recall it back. They said they called the timeout, and they're like, fine, whatever, screw it. You have the timeout, Stefanski. Coaching wise, make sure you only got 12 guys, because that's the whole reason why you called the timeout, is because you had too many men on the field. How do you come out on the same play with the same number of guys in the same huddle? You had them all in the huddle. You just had to point at one, get your ass on the bench, and you didn't.
Complete mental errors. And that's I'm saying that's Cleveland, but to the silver lining, they're still 500.
Yeah.
And this deep into the season, you usually don't hear Cleveland in 500 or Cleveland in contention or anything like that. So still impressed.
But it's stuff like this is going to get them out of the playoffs.
That is true. I mean, they didn't go in there and get whooped, but they basically did everything possible to not win this game. I'm not even going to start on your kicker, because you missed 2 field goals and then one point after. I'm like,
he just missed 2 field goals.
Okay.
Because he got the point after, and he got another field goal later in the game, and I was like, all right, well, take my 4 points and go home.
Gotcha.
The game that I didn't watch to wrap up the week, I turned off all football after the Browns and Ravens game on Sunday. Just did not want to tune in on anything. But Seahawks lose to Washington football team here, 17-15 game.
Surprise.
Seahawks fall to 3-8. Washington gets their 5th win of the season. They're 1 game under 500. And hey, they're gonna try to make that
clap.
Hey, they are number 7 right now in the playoff race.
I thought it was Minnesota.
No, Minnesota is right under them. I think somehow Washington has a tiebreaker.
Okay, and that was not barring any tiebreakers. Okay, got it. So Washington and Minnesota in the bubble. Got it. Okay, wow. I think Washington did everything they needed to do. I don't know what the hell the end of that fourth quarter was all about. Just bad clock management, possession, bad possession. I just thought they just, like, what are y'all doing? Like, just kick the freaking field goal and be done, and nope, they want to just keep trying to run it. I mean, I don't know what they was trying to stick it to Seattle so bad. I mean, probably because Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I would have did it in that.
Well,
that alone, I would have probably.
We'll talk about it in the next segment, but there's some things Pete Carroll said that make me feel like this is the end of an era.
We'll get back. Please bring that back up, because I did not see his press conferences or anything. However, it just seemed like Washington was doing everything to extend this game, to make this an overtime game. And from a fantasy standpoint, I'm like, look, I got a 1.5 point lead. Just end it and be done. Because you know what will end up happening? All of a sudden, Washington get the ball back. Heineke started sitting there. By the way, I had Heineke and Gibson. With that being said, what if Heineke just started kneeling on the ball? That's negative.
Yeah, there's negative points for you.
I was like, oh no, I'm not. I'm finna lose on some nonsense because they're gonna give him the ball back, or he keeps the ball longer than he needs to have it, or he throws some pick six, or he fumbles the ball. I was just like, oh my God, would y'all just kick the field goal and be done?
Speaking of fantasy,
go ahead.
What pisses me off about the
what
game?
Else pisses you off?
Yeah, the Browns Ravens game. He had Lamar Jackson, and those 3 interceptions that Lamar Jackson had completely negated because he had the damn defense.
Oh, you did. None of that.
So when I wasn't able to scroll down, and I hadn't scrolled down yet to look at who his defense was. I was just looking at the top. I was like, all right, well, he's got some defense going. I had no care in the world. Mm-hmm. And then I'm looking at like, all right, Lamar Jackson threw an interception, and I was like, all right, I see the negative points for Lamar. But how they have the same? Why is his points not going down? And I kept going, and then I finally scrolled down. I was like, this dude's got Cleveland's defense sitting at like 10 points because they just keep balanced right out. And I was like, are you kidding me?
See, and what does Chrissy the Black learn from this? Absolutely nothing. He'll just sit there and just keep starting his
Well, he's
team.
still not gonna make the damn playoffs.
Oh no, but I'm just making the point of. Oh yeah.
Oh well, congrats, Chrissy. You eliminated one of the best teams in the league.
And your reign is over, sir. You will be no championship appearances this year. Yeah, good riddance.
Well, that wraps up this week's debacle. We'll see the Chiefs and Cardinals back this week. Finally, some good teams. So, God, because there were some horrible games this week, and it was definitely questionable. But
Cleveland and Green Bay is on bye next week, and Houston, and
Carolina. So, one more team.
I think it's Carolina. I think you're right.
It's another team that needs a bye.
Yes.
Well, we'll get into that in the next segment.